When people ask you what happened here, tell them the North remembers. Tell them winter came for House Frey.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back from my Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 2 Plot Leak Breakdown video. I just uploaded my breakdown for Episode 1 and that one wasn't too bad. Most of the scenes did line up with the direction the show seems to be going in based off of how Season 7 ended. Today I am going to go through the scenes in Episode 2 and see what does or does not make sense. Like I said in the first video, most of what I will say will be based on my opinions and speculation. There hasn't been a ton of spoilers this off-season, so I can only confirm or deny so much. Some photos, videos, and reports have came out that do give us a good idea of how certain things will play out next season. But there still isn't enough available information for me to know how many scenes in this leak are real or not, but I will use what I have. So without further ado, let's get started. Season 8 Episode 2 began with Davos and Gendry showing up at Winterfell with the remaining dragon glass. As they were unloading the dragon glass, Arya and Bran were training in the yard, and this is when Arya and Gendry reunite. This leads to a conversation about Melisandre, and Arya and Davos both say they will kill her when they see her again. I haven't seen enough evidence to know if this scene will take place. I know Gendry is returning for Season 8 because a fan took a photo of Gendry with several other cast members in Northern Ireland. I believe he was with 4 or 5 other characters, so we will definitely see Gendry again. Gendry was not at the Dragon Pit scene, nor was he on Dragonstone when Jon and Daenerys decided they would travel by boat together, so there is no way to confirm where Gendry will be seen next. When everyone met back on Dragonstone and decided they would sail to White Harbor, Davos was in that scene with Jon. There wasn't any mention of Dragonglass in that scene, so I have no reason to believe Davos and Gendry will stay behind to bring the rest of the Dragonglass to Winterfell together. In my opinion, Davos left Dragonstone with them since he was there during that meeting. Plus he is Jon's right hand, so he will need to be close by. Based off how Season 7 ended, and the few set photos I have seen, I would have to say this scene is incorrect. Davos and Gendry will not show up together in Episode 2. I think Davos will be with Jon and Daenerys the whole time. When Jon and Daenerys made their plans about how they would get to Winterfell, Jon never gave Davos any other instructions, so he must be with them still. There is a possibility that this does happen, but I don't think it's very likely. Arya and Gendry will reunite, but not like this. The next scene was in Volantis with Melisandre and Kinvara talking to a large group of followers of R'hllor. In this scene, they talked about the Night King coming, and how they all needed to go to Westeros to help. I think there is a very good chance we could see something like this. I'm not sure what episode it would be in, but we know Melisandre left for Volantis and she said she would be returning. Melisandre would have no reason to go to Volantis and come right back, unless she was going there for something that could assist her in the Great War. We all know there are theories about Melisandre getting the fiery hand, and we know Kinvara supports Dany, so we might see her again also. Melisandre was spotted in Belfast during filming, and a new photo just came out, and some people are saying Melisandre was in the photo dressed in red, and she was surrounded by soldiers of the North. As of right now, there is no evidence of Kinvara making a return to the show, but that doesn't mean she won't. I always felt like there was a very good chance she would come back. The way Kinvara and Melisandre keep speaking to Varys seems like we should get some closure with them. I think it's safe to say Melisandre is coming back, but Kinvara cannot be confirmed. It wouldn't make much sense for Melisandre to travel that far just to come back empty-handed. She's going to Volantis for a very good reason, and it might have something to do with this scene. I won't rule this out just yet. I would love for Melisandre and Kinvara to show up with a small force of their own. The next scene was at Castle Black, and it showed the aftermath of the attack there. Beric Dondarrion was still alive, but Lord Commander Ed was not. It said Castle Black was in ruins, and Beric said he must go south to play his final part in the war. Like I said in the Episode 1 breakdown video, I don't think this makes a whole lot of sense. I believe Beric and Tormund are alive. In fact, Tormund was already seen in Belfast preparing to film, so I know he's alive. And Beric and Tormund might have to go to Castle Black in order to get down off the wall since the Night King destroyed Eastwatch by the Sea. Beric and Tormund might be stuck at the top of the wall until they find a castle that has something for them to use to get down. Since Castle Black is the closest castle that is operational, they may have to go that far, but I doubt the Night King sends his army there next. Castle Black is a very small target, and it's completely out of his way. He seems to be moving south, and Castle Black is about 150 miles away from Eastwatch. I think it would be ridiculous for the Night King to send men there just to kill about 30 crows. I have no way to prove this scene is fake, but common sense tells me it's not right. I guess the Night King could always spare a few hundred whites just to clean out the Night's Watch, but I don't think it's very likely. I think he's heading south to take on much bigger targets. The Night King will probably wipe out everything in his way, but as of right now, Castle Black is nowhere near him, so I can't buy this scene until I see further proof of it happening. This next scene is back in the Godswood with Bran Stark at the Weirwood Tree. This is when Bran sees his first set of visions. His visions consist of images of wildfire, blue dragonfire, a bed of blood, Melisandre looking into the flames, a black silhouette, the Night King, Jaime Lannister during his first trip to Winterfell, and Bran falling from the tower. Now obviously there is no way for me to confirm or deny any of these visions. I am very confident Bran will have more visions next season, but there is no way for me to know what he will see. I will talk about this some more once we get to the scenes when some of these things start to play out in the later episodes. When Bran comes out of these visions, he is surrounded by several main characters, and this is the first time he tells Jon he needs to talk and tell him the truth. But they immediately go into the main hall. Jon tells everyone about the recent attacks in the north, and how they need to fashion all the dragonglass into weapons. I think this sounds plausible enough. I do think the Night King will strike a few northern castles before he gets to Winterfell, so I'm sure they will get word that the Night King is destroying everything in his path on his way to them. Plus, it makes sense for Jon to tell everyone to turn the dragonglass into weapons for everyone to use. Jon already said something like this in Season 7, and there was a report about all the Unsullied using dragonglass spears during filming. This is also the same scene when Sam Tarly stands up and tells Jon he has his father's Valyrian steel sword, Heartsbane. It might not go down like this, but Sam still has that sword for a reason. They showed him leaving the Citadel with it, so it needs to be used at some point. There would be no reason for Sam to take it unless it gets used. Plus, we all know how important Valyrian steel is. It's much more durable than dragonglass, and some of the best swordsmen will be in Winterfell, so I would be willing to bet on Sam doing something with Heartsbane. I actually made a video about this sword, and you can check that out and see who I think will end up wielding it during the Great War. After the scene in the main hall ends, Daenerys tells Jon she would like to speak with him in private. This is when Dany tells Jon she is pregnant. All of you should already know how I feel about this. I'm 100% confident Daenerys is pregnant. They foreshadowed this happening nearly a dozen times in Season 7. I also made a video about this too, and I compiled all the evidence that I think points to Daenerys being pregnant. I think Daenerys telling this to Jon is very plausible and likely to happen at some point next season. I don't know which episode, but it will be in one of the early ones. Obviously, I have never been pregnant, but it probably doesn't take too long for a woman to notice something is growing inside of her. Especially Daenerys, considering she has went through several months of a pregnancy before, back in Season 1. The next scene has Jaime and Bronn showing up at the Twins in order to find as many men as possible to take north with them. When they get to the castle, they are greeted by several women that are now ruling the Twins, since Arya killed most of the men. I believe there is a very good chance of this happening as well. We know Jaime is heading north, and there is evidence of the Freys returning next season. A casting call went out a few months ago and they were looking for 2 young ladies. Then another report came out saying those 2 ladies will play twins at the Twins. It will be Sarah and Sara Frey. Jaime obviously has a relationship and alliance with the Freys, so it makes sense he would stop there at some time next season. And since they did cast 2 girls to play as Freys, it kinda makes sense that this could be why. I don't think Jaime will show up with a large force, but I wouldn't doubt if he tried. Jaime and Bronn stopping at the Twins seems pretty reasonable to me. The next scene was in King's Landing, and it's with Cersei and Qyburn checking up on the city's defenses. They were having wildfire placed at each gate that enters the city, and Qyburn had more ballistas made to take down the dragons. This seems fairly reasonable too. We know Qyburn had 1 ballista made, so I don't think it's too crazy to think he would have more made. I know I would if I were them, and I would also have any and all of the wildfire located so it could be on standby in case of an attack. We know Cersei has no problem using it in her own city, and there is photo evidence of an attack taking place in King's Landing. No one knows how much wildfire may be left, but I always had a feeling there was plenty more left over. Qyburn might not have a dozen more ballistas made, but it would be wise to make more than one considering there are more than one dragons in the enemy's army. I do think a scene similar to this will happen. Then we get a scene with Theon and his small team of Ironborn men looking for Yara. It says they go to the Iron Islands looking for her, but she's not there. We already know this is what Theon's going to be doing next season. His last scene was on the beach of Dragonstone when he got in a fight, then said they are going to rescue Yara. We will see Theon attempt to get her back one way or another. Some spoilers did come out over a month ago and they said Theon and Yara were filming together in a studio. There wasn't any photos, but someone saw them together. They didn't see Euron at the time, but it doesn't mean he won't be involved in the scenes. If those reports are true, Theon and Yara will share some screen time again. One of them could die in the scene, but they are going to meet at least one more time. As of right now, there is no proof that Theon goes to the Iron Islands to find her, but there are only so many places she can be, so I won't rule this out just yet. Theon could go there first. This scene makes some sense for the most part. This scene is followed up by Euron and Yara on the Silence. Yara is in the main cabin and she's been beaten and her tongue was cut out by Euron. I cannot confirm or deny any of this obviously. There is no proof that Yara loses her tongue. But I will say Euron is known for doing this. In the books, every man that crews his ship has no tongue. We even saw Euron's men cutting out tongues in Season 7 when they attacked Yara and Theon's fleet. I personally hope Euron doesn't cut out her tongue, but he does have a history of doing this. The longer Yara is with Euron, the more danger she is in of something like this happening. Now this next scene sounds exactly like one of my prediction videos. It says Bran, Sam, Tyrion, and the Maester are looking through the books from the Citadel trying to find answers about how to defeat the Night King. We already know Sam told Bran where to look to see Rhaegar and Lyanna's marriage, and it seems likely that they will continue to work together. But now we have Tyrion coming to Winterfell as well, and we all know he's book savvy too. The reason why Sam took those books and left the Citadel was mostly because they weren't taking him serious at the Citadel, and Sam knows how urgent this situation is. He took everything that relates to the Long Night and the others, hoping to find answers. And they wouldn't have shown Sam taking those books unless he was going to find more answers in them later. Since he has Bran to go back in time and confirm things, I'm sure he will continue to work with him. The actor who plays Sam is named John Bradley, and during a recent interview he said Sam and Bran will be having more scenes together next season, and I would like to think we will see a scene just like this. Sam will use his books and Bran will use his Wi-Fi connection to fact check those books and find a solution. Tyrion may or may not be involved, but everything else sounds very plausible. The last scene is with the Night King and Viserion destroying the Carhold. And I went over this in the first video, but I will say it again. I really love the idea of ending the first 2 episodes with attacks from the Night King. This would be a great way to end each episode with big cliffhangers, and it would also build more and more fear with each passing episode, knowing the Night King is getting closer and his army is getting bigger. There is also some evidence that suggests something like this may happen. Little Ned Umber and Elise Karstark were seen in Belfast filming scenes, and they are now in control of their family's castles. Ned will be at the Last Hearth, and Elise will be at the Carhold. If they brought these 2 actors back, it could be because they get killed next season, because they are pretty much in the Night King's path. If the Night King cuts across the north to get to Winterfell, he will most likely take out these bigger targets too. I do have a feeling this will happen, but I'm not sure in which episodes. So far, the plot leak doesn't sound too crazy. There are a few minor things that I don't agree with, but most of it follows with where characters are going next. Some of it would be fairly easy to guess because the characters have been telling us what their plans are, but overall it's not too bad right now. Based on what I have said, what are your thoughts for this episode? Which scenes do you think are fake, and what scenes do you think are close enough to be real? Put all your opinions or questions down below in the comments section. I want to thank you all once again for coming to the channel to check out today's video. And I also want to thank my Patreon supporters. You all came through big time this month, and I really appreciate you for that. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye.